Welcome back to the Profitable Home Services Podcast. This is the podcast where we uncover hidden profit leaks and we help you build a business that's not just busy, but wildly profitable. I'm your host, Diane Gardner, and today we're going to take a little different track than what we normally do. I've got Joe Crisara with me from Service MVP, and in our talking before the podcast, we discovered that we have something in common. And that item that we have in common is that the profit first methodology has changed or possibly saved both of our businesses. So we thought we would share that journey with you a little bit. I know it's a little bit different from normal. Don't worry, we'll still share a hidden or unique profit leak at the end of the podcast. So with that, welcome, Joe.
Hey, Diane, how you doing? Thank you for inviting me to the show. And definitely, I watch with great admiration, and I definitely have seen the lineup of your guests. It's super powerful, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you. I'm in just complete and total clarity with our listeners. I've been following Joe for a couple, 2 or 3 years now. And when I go to my Joe Casera folder, there's all kinds of stuff that I've downloaded that you have shared. So
Thank you so
I
much for
love
doing
that.
that.
Yeah, I love that you're a giver. And it seems like most everybody that comes on my program, that is who they are. They're a giver. They give away all kinds of educational information. They think nothing of sharing their expertise with other people without expecting somebody to pay them money right up front. So I love that about you. And I was impressed. I'd forgotten how much was sitting in my Joe Casera folder till earlier when I went in there and took a peek. So,
Well, I have a philosophy called the open hand philosophy, whereas if I take my hand and open it up at a beach, let's say, and I fill it with sand, a big pile of sand, and I try to close it and own all that sand, when I open it up, I only get like a little circle of sand. It's all gone. So I believe that, for every bit of information I give people, Diane, there's 1,000 things I haven't given them, and that takes 48 years to get that experience. And that's what I have. And it's an honor to help people with the small piece they need to get them started on the right road. And then, if they want to invest more with me, they can do that. We have over 73,000 people who have invested in our services. So definitely, I'm very proud of that too. So thank you for inviting me.
you're welcome. And I will say that I initially found you in a QuickBooks file.
Hmm.
This was a few years back. I love to see who my clients invest money with. And
Hmm.
Service MVP came up several different times. And it's like, all right, I got to go check this out. If it's just once, whatever. But when I see it coming up 2, 3, 4 times in somebody's QuickBooks file, then I go check them out. It's like, ooh, what can I see over here? So that's how I originally found you.
Well, you're only going to find us in the businesses that are profitable or who are yet to be profitable. That's what
Still
we believe
working.
in. I believe in the same thing you do, which is that running a business, or who said it? Tommy Mello said, revenue is vanity and profit is sanity. He said,
Sanity.
I still believe that. That's a great phrase. I'm not sure if you made that up or if it's original, but it's a good little catchphrase. I think every business owner needs to use it as a mantra or a affirmation every morning when they wake up.
You bet. And I'm going to say I hear that a lot over in the profit first world, where I spend a lot of my life
Mhm.
working as a profit first professional and then taking that expertise and sharing it out with other home service businesses. And over there, Mike has this term for, he calls it real revenue, which is gross revenue minus cost of goods sold, because he has that same idea that, gross revenue is vanity. What do you have on that gross profit line, which is basically your real revenue line? Let's talk from that line down because you can say you're a $10 million company, but if you only have 100,000 on your gross profit line, we got problems. We
Right.
need to be digging hard in there.
What I would say is that gross profit never lies. If I had to look at a company and say, let's get started with something where I can get a foothold about what I can see from that standpoint. And when I see that the gross profit is the area where it's more variable and we do control that, like I'd say overhead is something like it's more fixed and we can't really when we buy things for the business, those are things we need, a copy machine, tables, chairs, things that we need, just the office space and the gasoline for the trucks and things. So we get the things we have to have, and that's just insurance, all that kind of stuff. It's not going to if you change it, it's only slightly, it's pennies. But the gross profit is something that can be changed, and that's really what Service MVP does. We show you how to. You're not going to change the equipment or the material cost of jobs. That's something you might get a few pennies here or there different, but the efficiency of the labor and the job, the way it's done, that's really where the gross profit is established. That if we can sell the job at a higher cost or higher revenue or higher value in a way, people will pay more for the job, which allows us to make the gross profit high enough to make a net profit at that point. But so I would say gross profit with the materials and the labor in the field, those aren't changing either. It's like what you charge is a thing that changes. So you can't cut back on your people. You can't cut back on your equipment. You can't really cut back on your overhead very much, just a few pennies. But what you can do is the best way to lower or raise to lower your costs is to raise the revenue, and that'll make the cost percentage much lower if your revenue is higher. That does take what we do, which is to teach people how to communicate higher value when they communicate problems and solutions. It's really the customer's perception, which is more of an emotional thing that people either feel cared for, respected, and supported for the higher price, or they feel like they've been taken advantage of for the higher price. And that's what we at Service MVP try to do. And that's why so many clients do invest in us, is because we want their clients to feel a sense of care, respect, and support, even though the client is still spending 3 to 5 times more than they would with a normal company. They're getting a higher level of service for that price. And service is like the knife that cuts through the fog of uncertain value, I call it. And so I really feel like we teach the best on how to perform that world-class service experience so people do feel valued. Diane, does that make sense?
You bet. One of the documents I found in my Joe Crisara folder was the top 10 customer service mistakes
Oh,
that
you probably
are
seen
made in
that
the
one,
home
huh?
service businesses. And I thought, ooh, that might be something worth poking into here in our interview.
That's an oldie but a goodie. I love
It
that one.
is an oldie. I thought, ooh, I've had that one around for a few years.
Uh-huh,
Shows you
uh-huh.
how long ago, since I found you.
Well, feel free to post it anytime you
So,
want. Just don't forget
yeah,
to put my name in there somewhere. That'd be great.
it's all over the document.
Of course it would be.
Yeah,
Why would I do anything else? It might be
but
free,
just
but you're going to see my name, that's for sure.
right. But sometimes it's nice to come back and take another look at what you and I would call just the basics.
Hmm.
Everybody knows we need to have better customer service, but sometimes in the hubbub of running a home service business, where just the owners are running around and they should be wearing a fireman's jacket and they should give them a hose because that's all they're doing is putting out fires all day long, whether it's fires with their team, fires with their CSRs, fires out in the field, fires, jobs got to get reworked again. I mean, just fires everywhere. And that can take away from your customer service
Well,
because
I
we
would
get
say
too
that I would
wrapped
say
up
that
in it.
Diana, one of the phrases I've developed, and I think I'm original on this, and maybe not, but I call it the people who do put the fires out. I call them the arsonist firemen. Somebody
Ooh.
who actually started the fire because a good fireman prevents the fire. They don't fight fires. Like if you went to a firehouse, you wouldn't see people scrambling to put a fire out at the firehouse. They'd most likely be taking care of the truck, cooking lunch, or keeping the trucks clean, getting the uniforms cleaned up. But most of the time, actual firemen are literally preparing to fight a fire, and they're out there educating the community and training the community on how the community can help prevent fires too. I think that's really what the biggest thing, and then like what you do, Diane, which is so valuable, which is to teach and train people about their financials, because that would be the beginning of putting out the financial fires you may have. Because literally, people are burning money when they don't know their financials, and you're so having your business and what you do, and suggesting the profit first material is something that definitely does prevent more fires. And so it could take you from an arsonist fireman who really started the fire yourself and then bragging how I put it out. The reason you do that because you're like, oh my God, it's so glad I was here to put that fire out. Well, you know what? You wouldn't have had the fire to begin with if you had done what Diane's teaching you or what I'm teaching you. You would have definitely been miles ahead of that. Make sense, Diane?
You bet, yes. And I see it all the time. I mean, they show up on my coaching calls and they're not prepared because they spent the last however many hours, running out to the field and saving something
Hmm.
because they didn't have the systems and processes in place. They didn't have the plan B. If something goes wrong, here's what we do. They didn't have those types of things put together in their business. And so they end up running out and taking care of it themselves. And I know that's easy to slip back into that role because they all started there. That's how they started their business, or most all of them do. They thought they could do it better than the person they were working for, and they go out into business and they're out in the field to begin with, and it's just so easy just to step back over there and take care of it. And maybe it's a training problem. We haven't trained our team, or we haven't spent enough time role playing. We don't have any scripts developed. I mean, there's just so many different things that can be done to keep those arson related fires
Exactly.
from
The
exploding
answer is
constantly.
training is the prevention tool, even for the fire department. They train building owners on how to have where the fire extinguisher should be. They train the people who do fire suppression in buildings how to place the sprinklers, and so the fire department is more than just. If they're putting out a fire, it's kind of a disaster. It's really not something they want to do. It's something that they're only forced to do under extreme conditions because there is chaos in the world. But most of the time, they're in the business of, like every business owner should be, creating discipline and order in the organization so that we don't have to fight fires and we can. I know it's more boring to be successful where you don't have to fight fires. That's the part about it. I think some people are addicted. They're addicted to putting out fires, and sometimes
So,
they
yeah.
feel like they're not valuable if they don't put fires. But honestly, so I usually find that the owners that are putting out more fires probably have their self-esteem in a way. They value their esteem by being needed to fight the fire. Honestly, the people I see who run the most successful businesses, they're not putting out fires. They're actually enjoying life. They're preventing fires. They're checking on their financials. They're training their teams. They're proactively handling things so they don't have to fight those fires down. You know.
And that sounds suspiciously like a mindset shift.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, changing up the way that we think from I have to be the person to make sure that everything's going well and I have to jump in and touch every job and make sure everybody's doing things to stepping back and going, I trust my team. I've trained
Well,
them. I trust them.
you know what? If you don't train them, that's when you don't trust them. Honestly, it all starts with that training because if you do train them, it's easier to trust people who you trained. And then there's coaching, which is a reminder of the training, which a lot of people don't realize that they think management. They think like I trained them, they should know it, but they don't realize that every employee is human. And even AI makes mistakes. Even when I ask ChatGPT to do things, it's not perfect, So
No,
no,
it's not.
there's nothing in this world that's perfect, honestly. And so so even if you do go through a machine, you have to double check to make sure, does that seem like the right answer? And so there's nothing in this world that's perfect, machine or human. So in a way, that's called coaching. You're finding things that you desire to be a certain way, and then they're not in that way, but you did design it or train it. Now you have to have another activity, which is to coach. Coaching just means to remind what you designed and trained people to do, and it should actually be easy. But without the training, that's where the firefighting begins. Because without the training, now I got to go out and show this guy. Here, let me just do it myself. He can't. Here, I'll take this one. You get the next time or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or because they never did the training to begin with. So I always tell owners of every company, Diane, if you're going to go out and do something in the field, or you're going to do something for an employee, make sure that you're the brain, they're the arms, hands, feet, and legs. Let them do it while you go ahead and direct them, or if you have to train them on the job, let them do the work and use their hands to do it. If you're doing accounting, I'd say, here, go on the computer and I'll tell you what to do, and you do it. Don't go on the computer and have them watch you, because when you start doing it as the boss and you're doing all the work, now you got a paid audience, and that's not going to work on your financials. I've never
No.
seen a paid audience. I mean, an audience is good if they're paying you, but an audience that's you're paying the audience, it's not a really good financial outcome on that one, Diane.
I use the analogy of a hand. You and I, the business owners, is the palm of the hand.
Hmm.
Our team are the fingers. And so they are the ones that need to be doing the actual task, whatever it is, because we're just the palm. And the palm without the fingers can't pick up and do things very well.
I
There
love that.
are ways you could pick up a piece of paper with just a palm of your hand, but it's going to be pretty hard. And so if we can stay the palm of the hand and let them become the fingers, our team hums along and works well. We're not stepping into their world where we really shouldn't be. We're not micromanaging them because we're sitting back here, the palm of the hand, and we're directing. We're directing traffic basically, and letting them do their job.
Well, I definitely, that's a great metaphor, and I will definitely now I'm going to be very highly tempted to borrow that from you. And don't worry, I will give you credit for it, but
You can borrow it.
I'm going to borrow that one because it's a really good metaphor. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, because I mean, so everybody can look at your hand and go, yeah, without those fingers, that
Hmm.
hand's kind of worthless. Or the
I
palm,
agree.
that
I
hand's
agree
kind of
completely.
worthless. Yeah.
Great minds think alike on that one. I think we're on the same page there for sure.
Yeah. So I love that analogy because I can do it anywhere and everywhere, and everybody gets it.
I do
So,
get it. It's easy to see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Joe, I'm going to back up just a little bit. Earlier, before we went live, we were both talking about the effect that Profit First has had on our businesses.
Hmm.
So let's switch tracks just a little bit. I don't normally do this in the middle of an interview, but I think it's
Okay.
appropriate. I've got a fellow Profit First person sitting here who's actually come through the fire. And would you like to share a little bit? And then maybe I'll share just a little bit about, what it's done for my business because it's part of that training, it's part of that system, it's part of that mindset shift. It fits in all those different areas in a business.
Well, when I did, a few years ago, I'm not sure if it was before the pandemic or after, but I seen Mike Michalowicz hit the scene with Profit First, and I was like, let me check that out. It sounds strangely familiar to something that I've already done and
Yep.
espoused and believed in. So when I read the book, and I did read the book probably 3 or 4 times, I'm like, man, this is perfect. This is because what happened, Diane, is that Profit First. Now I've probably given the book 100 times. I've probably given it as a gift to my clients who need it, just like you. I see you
Yeah,
do that
me too. I buy them 25 at a
too.
time and give them away.
Let's make sure we get this because you need to start here, and then we'll take
Yep.
it from there.
Mhm.
Right? It's easier to help that people when they've already have that training to start with. To apply. I always say the same. If I'm going to help you, teach you how to sell more stuff and create higher, it's got to be profitable, and you got to make sure that profit isn't something you wait for at the end of the month. So here's what happened to me. Here's my story, and I'll make it real simple. I'll try and turn a long story into a short one. And it's been many years. So this is in the 90s. I tell a story that back in 1991, I was going through really poorly designed business that was just me running a truck, and I had people working for me. We got up to pretty high, about 1.7 million in revenue. But since I was going through some issues with my relationship at home and things like that, which are really caused by the financial issues. Um, that turned me into somebody who was going through a divorce and wound up $500,000 in debt with my business.
Wow.
And all the accountants and bookkeepers and everybody said, Joe, there's no way you're going to get out of debt. Your average sales like, $200 for a service call, and your equipment's like $1,500. To get 500,000 in debt, you'll be doing this to your 150, and you wouldn't be out of debt. And so you should just go bankrupt and go get a job. Everybody advised me that. But then I always say I was just too stupid to quit, Diane. So because I was raised not to quit, and I said I'm going to keep trying. And then I was given the blessing. I would say I know there's a higher power out there because I can't describe what the higher power is. I don't have any clue. I can't tell you if it's a religion or thing or thing like that. But I can tell you that there's something in the universe that does reward people who take action, who keep trying, and I do believe that. And it happened to me. I had a client of my. First of all, I had one of my competitors, who was a friendly competitor of mine. I kept cutting my prices while I was going into debt, trying to get more business. I felt like my paradigm was lower the price and people will buy more. I know that's a stupid paradigm, but
Just sell yourself into bankruptcy,
that's
huh?
that's what hey, it's just you can't compete with these prices. I didn't know how to communicate value, right? So one of my competitors, he showed me, Joe, you have to do more service and people will buy more. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. And then I'm like, but how do I do that? And then I had one of my clients who showed me the science of tiered pricing, premium, mid-range, economy choices, and how you could add service and warranty and stuff like that. So let's put it this way. I first did it. I tried it. My between my friendly competitor and my client, it all happened within 2 months. And I'm like, something about the universe is telling me I got to do something different, which I was because I was so desperate. I had no choice but to do something different. I was honestly couldn't keep the lights on at my place. It was so pathetic. So I do empathize with people who do struggle financially because I have gone through that, and I have had periods where it comes back too. When you're good at doing that, you're always going to be good at doing that. So I've had to kind of rebuild it several times like that. Well, what happened was, so one of the things they taught me, the guy who taught me, my client, who was a pharmaceutical salesperson, about doing the premium mid-range economy things, that you should add uh, multiple year warranty and service and consumables. So if somebody buys a filter from you, you could sell them a 10-year filter package that would go with it and 10-year service membership that would go with it. So people would buy the warranty and service and they would also get the filter. So they would pay basically just as much for the warranty and service as they would for the original item. And I'm like, nobody's going to do that. That's ridiculous. He said, well, that's the premium option. So the premium option is they do 10 years, then they do 7 years, then five, then three, and then one at the bottom. He said, you just sell the thing by itself at the bottom. I said, just offer it to people and see what they do. Well, magically, people started buying anywhere from 5 to 7 years of filters, plan service, and warranty that previously I was just giving it away. I was like, here's a filter. It's like I wouldn't even think if I could charge for it. I would be like, you could charge for that? It's like it's so cheap, but no, I gotta sell the better filter. And then they would cost more for those. So I started realizing is that my revenue was increasing by so I not only had enough money because I start selling bigger packages, but I also started having future things I was selling for the future, and that's really where profit first started for me. So this is a long. So I said it's a not an obvious thing. So what happened for me is that let's put it this way: I got that divorce, and I had to buy off roughly about $250,000 to buy my business from my ex-wife, and still be able to run the business. So I was already in debt 500,000. I had to pay my wife on top of that 250,000. So you could
Oh,
say
goodness.
I was $750,000 in debt if you want to put it that way, right? And so I had to say, how can I run a business, pay off her and pay off that debt at the same time? And profit first was the only way that I didn't know it was profit first. When I read Mike's book, I'm like, dude, I live profit first. That's why I say people, I said, I've already gone through this and I've trained other people to do the same thing that I do. So what I did was I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to operate the business with the money I sold on the air cleaner or the furnace or AC or things I sold, the water heaters and stuff like that. But the consumables, like the filters, the pads, the bulbs, and multiple year service agreements, that's stuff for the future. So that's stuff I can put off to the side and put profit first. That's the profit first. And so I had a account that was for my filters and consumables, and I would fill up that account. Every time I sold it, I would take the money from the company, put it in that account. And every time I sold the multiple year, 10-year service package or 10-year warranty, I would take that money and put it in the account. So I was operating my business, and I was making enough money to run the business, but I also took this filter and consumable money and the service and warranty. So three things: warranty I charge for, service memberships I charge for, and consumables I charge for. By doing that, those three profit centers added roughly 42 to 50, 45% to the revenue at a 90% gross profit. The profit was through the roof on those things. And so I was able to make small payments to my wife for 5 years. I was able to pay chunks back to my supplier. And here's the interesting part, Diane. By doing profit first, in 1991, January 1991, I was at 500,000 in debt, and I was, owe my wife 250,000 still. But by December of 1994, I was debt free with the suppliers, and I'm well on my way to paying 2 more years. I only had 2 more years to pay my ex-wife, and so by doing it, by the time it was 1996, I was completely. Here's a cool part, though. Here's a cool part about Profit First that I love the most about it. If you are in a financial situation, you definitely need Profit First to get out of it.
Definitely.
You have to
Right.
have some way to segment the money. This goes to my debt, and this goes to my business. That's kind of like that's where you're separating things like that. But what I did, here's the cool part, Dan. Then after I paid off everything, including my ex-wife, I'm like, you know what? I still got these profit centers that are now my, it's now it's mine. You know what I'm saying? So although it started out like a dire, I want to kill myself kind of thing when I first started out, because I mean, honestly, it was so negative in my life that I really wondered if I would be better off if I wasn't here. And the only thing that prevented me from doing that is that from not doing. I just wasn't brave enough to take that kind of road. And I'm still sane. I had sanity, so I wasn't, it wasn't that bad. But truthfully, I did feel a lot of depression and overcast life I had. And then by Profit First, and then when I saw what Mike Michalowicz wrote in that book, I'm like, dude, this is exactly what I did, except for it was just a different era. I think I did it before Mike Michalowicz was born, obviously. Of course,
Right.
I wouldn't want to take credit for it, but that's why I support it, because I tell everybody is that this methodology saved my life. I said, without it, I wouldn't be doing this job. I wouldn't be talking to you, Diane. I wouldn't be a known expert, because it's those scars that I went through that I can tell you that no matter how dark it gets or how bad it gets, and it is very emotional, because sometimes our business, we look at it like it's ourself. It's a part of
It
ourself
is.
that can
Yes.
destroy us and create trauma in our families and our life. And there's so many people who pay a price for this. And that's why I'm passionate about helping people. So people say, where do you get so much passion for this? The reason is the pain I went through is anything I can do to help other people avoid that pain, I would be happy to give them a help with it. And that's why I do give away a lot of things for free that I probably should sell myself. But honestly, that's my story. And so by doing that, that became something that we became now famous for. Today, Service MVP, we teach clients how to do that on everything they do. Try to create that profit center of warranty, service memberships, and consumables that they were just selling it 1 year at a time, or they were doing a monthly payment. I said, why are you doing that? Just sell it up front, finance the whole thing, and then you got the money in your bank account. Now you have that money because we look at it, Diane. There's two kinds of companies. One company needs help from banks or private equity to put money into the company to grow. Another kind of company that does Profit First has put that money up to the side so they can
Yep.
store the money to grow. And that's the difference. I think in a way, the Profit First mentality is you creating your own private equity funding so you can grow your business without having outside help. In a way, it's a way that only way I think that a real bootstrap business can really do it without going to the bank or getting a business loan or things like that. I think you can definitely bootstrap it, but I think you need to take a part of your profit and be profitable enough to sell something that you didn't think was valuable, kind of that hidden profit you want to call it. What did you call that before you mentioned to me? Profit leaks, right? You called it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Hidden profit leak. You
that was
bet.
a
Yeah.
profit leak. I didn't even know, honestly, I didn't know those things existed that people would buy it if I offered it. That's what my client who turned me on to the tiered pricing said, Joe, you can offer more service for the future and people will buy it. And I'm like, Dave, nobody's going to do this. I tried it and I couldn't believe that my average sale went up like 10 times more on equipment. I went from 1,500 to 15,000 on equipment. On repair
Wow.
costs, I went from $200 to $2,400. So, I mean, literally everything went 10 times higher because I knew how to, because I started realizing, and I had a guy named Ron Collier, Dr. Ron Collier, who helped me with my financials in the early 90s. Once I started making money, I had somebody I went to who really helped me. To this day, he's a dear friend, and he simplified and dummied down the financials for me so I can understand them easier. But that's kind of it. Does that make? I hope that is. I hope not sure if it's the story people want to hear, but that's the truth. I don't know if that. I'm sure it
Yeah.
is. Makes sense.
Thank you for being vulnerable and for sharing that, because I know when I myself was going through something not quite the same as you, but similar, I was so embarrassed because here I was an accountant and I
Mhm,
wasn't making any money in my company and I couldn't figure out why. Why
mhm.
can't we make money? Don't all accountants just roll in the dough? You know, they should be making tons of
Should be,
money.
right?
And I couldn't figure it out. And then finally, I realized all the inefficiencies in my team. Once that light bulb went on, as people quit or we let them go, we didn't replace them. And about that time is when I heard of Profit First, and I thought, I've been doing the old envelope system in my personal life forever because
Mhm,
I was so broke because I couldn't get a consistent paycheck from the business. And so I
mhm,
had to protect that money in my personal life.
mhm.
And it's like, all I'm doing is putting the envelope system into my business. I love it. I already know how to do the envelope system.
That's it. That's it.
And so then light bulbs started going off. We started becoming more efficient because I would build systems and processes and my team would ignore them. So we had to go back and do a whole bunch of training on systems and processes and why they're important and why we all need to do it the same way and things like that. And we started getting the efficiency down. And then lo and behold, we started making some money. And I went, all right, this is much better because I was ready to give it all up. It's like, I can't continue this way. This is too stressful. I'm totally mortally embarrassed. If my peers knew how tiny the net profit was in my business, they'd
Mhm,
laugh me
mhm,
out of the accounting world. And so I'm very, very grateful for finding not only
mhm.
Profit First, but the initial envelope system,
I like
turning
when you
my
say
own
that. That's
business
really what it
around.
is. It's like a
Yeah.
glorified envelope system. I think we all know what you mean when you say that, which
Yeah,
we need to put away money here, and then use this money instead. And you're kind of, in a way, you're it's a true budgeting, right? You're putting it
it
in
is.
different pockets or envelopes and saying, I'm not touching that one until I absolutely need to, unless it's a thing there. But I think then it also does force you, like you said, I think what the profit first mentality does is it forces you to run a leaner business because I'm going to keep that profit. I'm not going to give up my profit. I'm going to put that off to the side and try and work it up. And that it forces you to say, how can I tighten up the business over here to keep doing? And I did the same thing too. I had I let go of staff, and then I said, let me rebuild with people that are compliant and not entitled and things like that, people who would contribute to the bottom line. And it does force you to get people who are not just doing activity, like you mentioned before, it's people who are making accomplishments for your business. And I think that's the part that it forces you to come up to a reality. So instead of waiting to the end of the month to see after your accountant does your books in the middle of the next month, if you're lucky, that by the following month, like, holy shit, we didn't make money in June. It's already September. It's like, dude, you should have known that like during the first week of June so you could adjust it. 'Cause I think the magic of profit first is that it's like a scoreboard that's kind of like a real scoreboard, not
Yes.
not
Yep.
one where and I can think accountants are guilty of this, which is, oh, we got the accrual accountant. Don't worry, it'll all work out in the end. I'm like, dude, I don't got the money now. And I
Yep.
always say, you got a fake accountant, Diane, when your accountant's saying, yeah, you had a good year, you made a good profit. I'm like, really? Where's the money? I
Where's
said,
the money?
so
Yes.
if your accountant's not advising you like you are, that's why I admire you so much because you're I call a real accountant, which is somebody who says, if you're going to pay taxes, you should have money put aside for those taxes. It shouldn't be them surprising you with a tax bill. It should be like, yeah, this is how much we're putting aside for taxes. Here's how much we're putting aside for profit. Here's how much we're putting aside for things we need. And I think that's why I admire so much about what you're doing and how it changes lives. I mean, honestly, I wish I wouldn't have known you back then. You could have you could have helped me greatly if I had a resource like you. But unfortunately, I had to just figure it out myself. So when I do see somebody who has the same mindset, we've all, I think everybody who does love that book has gone through that pain and has suffered in a way because that book is not just a book; it's a movement, honestly. And I think that's something that you did in the service you provide now. I think is something that's so needed.
And I think that's what makes you and I so passionate about helping these home services is because we've come through and we have some scars, some battle scars from it ourselves.
Hmm.
And if we can share our knowledge with others, And potentially they don't have to have quite as many battle scars as we have because we had to figure it out ourselves. That's always a great win. But I wanted to back up just a second for anybody who's listening who isn't familiar with what Profit First is or how it works. I'm going to take an example of most people grab their phone and they check their bank balance, and maybe their bank balance says that you have $100,000 in your bank account. Well, that's all great. I can go buy whatever, I'm just going to go pay cash for this piece of equipment or I'm going to do whatever. But you forget that come Friday, payroll's got to happen. And that's going to be, say, I'm just say 20,000 of it. And payroll
Mhm.
taxes is going to be another five or six. So now we've used up, say, 25,000 of it. And don't forget, we got some sales tax coming up or something comparable to that. And workers' comp is due next week, so we've got to, shell out a few $1,000s for that. Oh, it's time to make the loan payment on three or four of our vans or whatever. So there goes another, $6,000 or $7,000, and that 100,000 quickly shrinks down to maybe 25 or 30,000 that's actually available to be spent. And in our
Mhm.
profit first world, we take the money for all those other pieces and we protect it by pulling it off into different bank accounts. So we may have a bank account for your profit because you, the owner, should get rewarded for the risks that you take being in business. So we'll have a profit account, we'll have a tax account so you can always make your estimated tax payments. I like to set up an emergency fund so that when if things slow down for some reason, you're okay. You can sail right on through it because we can augment what's coming in with your emergency fund. A lot of my clients like to set up some sort of a future growth account. That future growth might be another person for their team. It might be a truck. It might be a van. It might be a building. Whatever their goal is, we're saving in that future growth. So we're borrowing from ourselves and not having to go into debt. So this is kind of the basic idea around profit first, in case there's somebody out there who's not heard of it or not familiar with how this whole process works.
Yeah, I get it. You're putting money in that envelope and saying, I need that money for whatever your growth, for whatever you're trying to do, whether it's just to reinvest. I always say that there's things that happen in business. The reason why it is so important is because number one, there's service business chaos or business chaos that happens, things that just you can't know, you don't know that a machine's going to break down or that the truck engine blows or something like that. You just don't know. It's like things that happen that you just can't believe it. Just don't you don't get it. I say about 5% stuff like that happens there, and then there's things that you don't recognize are going to wear out, but you're using your computer and also saying, "Oh gosh, this computer is too slow for the new software. I have to get that." You're surprised that you didn't update or maintain some of the stuff we have. And the third thing is that there's emerging technologies that take place that have the allure of profit, but by the time you get it, you buy it, and you got to put it in place. That's money you're going to need to buffer yourself between the time you
Yeah.
actually buy something like Service Titan or you buy, Chirp or whatever, Podium, and they're like, oh, by the time we get to use it, it'll be like 8 months from now. Meanwhile, you paid for 8 months of the thing, and so that's that part there too. And then finally, there's capital improvement because if you are successful and you do make profit, and your company is selling high value, then you're going to have to get better buildings or meeting a bigger facility or more trucks or things that are going to be needed when your company grows. Because some people, when you're successful, I mean, people buy like a small warehouse with a little office in front of it, and next thing you know, it's like, dude, we can't even park the trucks in this parking lot. What are we gonna do? Then they wind up meeting in a hotel and paying for a bank room or something like that. It's not going to work. So the bottom line is that you're right. I think that's they're not aware of all the things that are coming to the profit leaks, I would say, that are you're losing money on those things. Make sense?
Right. Well, Joe, thank you so much for sharing your take on, the difference that Profit First has made in your business and in my business too. And it's
Hmm.
nice to find a fellow person with a few battle scars that we can say that this makes it's a life-changing methodology to adopt into your business. And
It
it is
is.
a mindset shift. It's definitely a mindset shift.
Yeah, I think it does. Again, I think it forces you to remove the inefficiencies or entitlements that are in your business that some people have. Because honestly, it's a lot of times it's either an employee, maybe somebody in your family, somebody who it's like somebody who's hidden in plain sight. But it's like, what's that person doing here? Oh, that's my brother-in-law. He's my bookkeeper. I got to pay him. How much you paying him? 150,000. What?
What?
That's a profit leak, right? That's like it's like what's that? So when you really start taking the profit out and saying, well, we can't afford the guy for 150,000 who takes off 3 days a week on top of it, we need to then you're forced to the reality of how can I run this thing in a way that's leaner and more efficient. And I think that's where the processes go. It's like a set of gears, right? The revenue you're getting, the efficiency of the business, taking the money out forces you to run leaner, I think, and that's the thing that I think every business does need to come to reality. But then even some people who do profit first, they fail at it because they steal money from themselves out of their own accounts, that out of those envelopes, and they are not successful with it. But that takes discipline. That's the discipline of the profit first methodology that I think that people like you, Diane, are so important, because I think having a third party to hold you accountable, like Diane, is one of the most valuable pieces that a company can have. Now, we don't have that here. We just do it ourselves at Service MVP. But we also would remind people, hey, get yourself somebody like Diane who can help to create discipline on this. So sometimes a third party discipline creates more accountability, I believe.
It does. Yes. Well, Joe, we've come to the part of the show where
Mhm.
it's time to talk about a hidden or unique profit leak. Let me get my little proud to be profitable bucket up here.
Nice.
We'll
Where'd
drop
you
some money
you
in
found
it.
real coins? Where'd you find coins anymore? They're going to outlaw the penny. You know that, right,
I
Diane?
know, yeah, but dropping some coins is something people can hear when they're driving.
It's good. It's good for showtime. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So would you share a hidden or unique profit leak that you've discovered when you're working with home service businesses?
That's a good one. I think the biggest thing is what I said. I think it's like, I hate to be redundant, but honestly, it's like the biggest thing that you are sitting right on top of is allowing people, you go to a call and you go to whatever job you're doing. If you're an accountant, for instance, right? Somebody comes in and says, yeah, can you do my business taxes or whatever? And that's a golden opportunity, right, for an accountant to say, sure, let me give you some choices. So the thing is, um, here's a leak. I'll give you the title of the leak, if you will, which is that when people ask you for something, great customer service is to offer more than they ask for. So if you offer more than people ask for, and then make an investment. Not I'm not saying do it more than people ask for free. I'm saying that if you're an accountant, for instance, and somebody comes and says, how much would it cost to do my business taxes? And traditionally, somebody might say, well, it'd be like 2,500 or whatever it would be to do the business taxes. I'll go through your books and do the taxes for the business for a year, and I'll even throw your personal taxes in for 2,500 or whatever they might say, right? Something like that. But what they should do is say, well, the bottom option would be the thing you asked me for, which would be the business tax, and that might be X amount of dollars. And I will do your personal. The next option up would be the business and the personal taxes. The next one up is to clean up your books and get the and get your bookkeeping cleaned up with the taxes and your personal. That's the better option. And the next one would be, once I clean up your books, let me go ahead and get somebody to enter in your bills every week to make sure this is happening, and then do a meeting with you once. And maybe the premium one would be meet with you once a month. Get a bookkeeper here. I can make sure that they're doing the job right, getting your taxes, getting your so the premium package would be, let me take care of all your financials, and we'll meet once a month to give you a report. Uh, the economy one is just the thing. So I think that's it. I think every business is sitting on top of a powder keg of profit, like I discovered myself, because when I was only offering the cheapest thing, Diane, I thought the lower price would be the way that motivate people. Offering more service of the same kind. So if you're a, I don't know, a heating air conditioning person, you get somebody calls you for an air conditioning unit. It's like, well, that's the bottom option, but air conditioning and furnace is the next one. air conditioning, furnace, and ductwork, the next one, then the air quality system is the next one. So you're just building packages that are bigger, and then just let the client, look at all the choices you have and just say, what should we do? And I think restaurants are really good at this, right? Like they go,
They
here,
are.
I just came in for lunch. But we do have an appetizer. We like to try our new appetizer, like a drink, which like, they offer you other things beside you came in just to hopefully get like a salad. Next thing you know, you're having lunch, soup, salad, maybe a drink with your friends. And next thing you know, you're staying there longer, right? So in a way, you're selling an experience. But I think every business has that opportunity and they're sitting right on top of it, but they don't think that people are going to go for it. And that was my downfall. I was always trying to sell the cheapest thing, and that's how I got myself. That's a great way to get yourself in debt. If you're barely making money, I mean, I give you a lot of credit. If your nose is just above water and you're not in debt, that's great. But you know what? You could be way out of debt and be like a real entrepreneur who has
Right.
plenty of money, because if you start offering things that people need that go along with your services, consumables, you could sell warranties, you could sell other things that go with it. Like you said, the accountant could sell monthly conferences to go over your taxes, give you some suggestions. They could also do the book. They could do the bookkeep. Find somebody to do bookkeeping for you. They could also do package and bundle all the accountant services at one time, not just sell them as you need them, but give it to people in one package. That's really what I would recommend. So premium, mid-range, economy choices. The premium one, bundle all the services you offer in the premium thing, and the economy one, just the same thing that customer asks for, and let them choose on their own. Ironically, when people do that, 89% of the people go to the better thing than they do the cheapest thing.
They will.
So I proved myself wrong, Diane. I thought that a lower price would motivate people to buy more, but I realized that there's a reason why the dollar store looks kind of janky. It does not. It's not the most. It doesn't smell too good in the dollar store. It's like something smells rotten in the dollar store. Well, that's because it's the cheapest price. You're not gonna. It's not a very pleasant store, the dollar store, right? Or the 99-cent store. It's kind of like the cheapest stuff. It smells kind of something's wrong with the smell of the place. It's not very customer friendly because they don't get the money to invest in it. The premium places are what people like to spend more time in. And so you have to ask yourself, the more people go to Nordstrom's or the dollar store, probably Nordstrom's, I would say for sure. So the premium option is the way to go. But don't forget, you have to put the premium one next to the economy one, because really the best Nordstrom's would be one next to the 99-cent store, because you can see this one smells like crap and this one smells good. Like it smells like perfume in this place, and it's so nice. They're doing makeup for free and everything. It's free makeup, like Joe Crisara gives you free training. But they sell more makeup after they sell you after they give you the free makeup. Does that make sense?
It
So I
does.
think
Yep.
letting people experience a little bit of your service, like you do with the profit first, and giving them that information first, a little bit of free information, cost of a book, I'll even buy it for you. And then selling the services in a package to allow people to do the premium package, which includes everything, the mid-range package, which is the professional way, and the economy package, which is the way the consumer asked you for it. That's my profit leak.
Yeah. Well, and you did mention books, so I'm going to hold up your book, your latest book. What should we do? How to
Hmm.
win clients, double profits, grow your home service sales. So, Joe, you want to let people know how they can get your book, find out more about you?
Yeah,
Um,
you can go to either Service MVP or book.servicemvp.com, book.servicemvp.com, and I will give you a free audiobook that you can go on. You can go in the service. We'll give you a log into the Service MVP app. There you can get the free audiobook and listen to it, or you can, if you want a real book, we can send you one of those too. If we give you a real book, though, we usually try to get you to make an appointment, so be warned on that. Uh, Diane was an early adopter. She got the book before we made the appointments, but that's okay. I definitely was. I'm happy you had a chance to read it. I'm happy it led you to interview me on this podcast. Thank you so much, Diane.
you bet. Yes, I'm very thankful that you're able to come on today. I know you have a busy schedule, so thank you for making it fit with my busy schedule as well. So, once again, we're going to just come back and say it's not how much money you make, but how much you actually keep. As we were talking earlier, we said gross revenue is vanity, net profit is sanity, same type of thing. You can sell your way into bankruptcy, or we can be profitable. So, but you got to know your numbers if you're going to do that. So, if you found value in today's episode, would you please take a moment to leave a review or share this episode with another home service business? Also, would you take a moment and go out to YouTube channel and like and subscribe? As we're trying to build our YouTube followers, I think last time I checked, we were up to like maybe 19 or 20. So we got a long ways to go because it's a fairly new YouTube channel. If you want help identifying profit leaks and building your pricing and service structure to support some real growth, reach out. We'd love to help. Our coaching programs are built to help home service businesses just like you understand their numbers, increase their profits and your cash flow so that you can take your profits first, hire a great team, and fall in love with your business again. Till next time, this is a wrap of the Profitable Home Services Podcast. Thank you so much.